Fear, invisible yet heavy, unseen yet felt by so many. Failure, rejection, inadequacy, all fears we bear that hold a silent snare. This fear moves us and holds us down simultaneously. It won't let me be. When I look into my heart, sometimes it's all I see. I want to live for Christ, but my fear and insecurities overwhelm me. How do I overcome this fear that too often fills my soul? How do I work through my insecurities so I can live a purposeful life for Christ? These are my questions. Let's go deeper to find the answers. Hey guys, and welcome to Deeper, the show where we dig past surface level answers and dig into life's biggest questions. My name's Isaac, and today we're going to be digging into the issue and the topic of our fears and insecurities. Now, I think the topic of our fear and insecurities is an important one, because often what gets in the way of not only our spiritual growth, but our growth as a person, it's often because of our fear of failure, fear of others, fear of the future, or just our insecurities in different things. So I want to really dig into this topic because I want us to live free, because I think Christ, through what he's done on the cross and through his truth, we can really begin to live free if we understand his truth. But I think a lot of these fears are fueled by lies. Now, when I think about my own life, the three fears that I think have become most, and these are kind of more general things, so I think you'll be able to relate with them as well. These kind of three categories or areas of fear. The first one is fear of failure. Now, this topic of this idea of I don't want to fail. And this is something that is not only common to me, but it's common to many others. For me, I'm like, I might not want to try something because there's a good possibility I'll fail at it. And that fear is present within that. So, and there's another category of fear of others. Now, it's not that I'm scared of other people per se, but I don't want to disappoint them. I don't want to let them down, and I also don't want them to think that I'm weird in some way, or think poorly of me. So in that way, yeah, I have a fear of others, or others' opinions, or others' perspectives on me. The third thing is fear of the future. Now, this idea that we don't necessarily have control. Yeah, we understand God has control, but sometimes we overlook that, and we just think about, oh no, what's going to happen in the future, and we worry, and it really is a crippling thing. These different three areas of fear, I think, really hinder us in our lives. So that was a long buildup. But I really just want to have an honest conversation with you guys. When we think that, when we're scared of failure, when I'm scared of failure, I am believing that failure, whether I succeed or fail, that defines who I am in a sense. So, okay, let's say, really personal for me, okay, if I make a video and I'm like, oh, this is going to be a tougher video, I want it to do well, and I want to make it really good. But let's say at the end, I'm just like, oh man, it just wasn't as good as I want it to be. I release it, people aren't necessarily responding that well to it, and I feel like a failure. My own self-worth and my personal worth is affected by that. But I need to understand, and what the truth is that fear of failure and maybe even failing, that was fueled by a thought of, this is going to define me. And that's actually not true. What I do, or what I try to do, is not going to define define me, whether I succeed or fail. Even if I succeeded in that, that still shouldn't define who I am. So we need to understand that where we're defined by God as children of God. And I think when we understand that, we can be freed up. But it's a continual thing of remembering that, of saying, yeah, I can try something new. I can step out and really go for something. I may fail. Yeah, that's true. But I'm not defined by that failure. That is going to lift that kind of burden of fear off of us, I think. Another thing that we believe is that other people's opinions define us as well. This idea that somehow what they believe is more important than what God believes about us or what God says about us. We believe this lie. I believe this lie, and it's not right. It's a disorder of our priorities and whose opinion actually matters. We should value God's perspective of us above everything, but what ends up happening is we push God's opinion and his perspective aside, and we take on the opinions of others and others' perspectives and our own perspective. And that's not what we're called to do. We're called to take on the perspective of God. You know, God, let your thoughts be my thoughts, let your ways be my ways, as opposed to hearing other people's voices come in and feeling like that defines who we are. That's a lie, but we can combat that with truth that's going to set us free. This last thing is fear of the future. Now, I think we all experience fear of the future. You may not be scared of a calamity happening. Maybe you're not super paranoid about the world coming to an end, but we all experience fear. Am I going to have a successful career? Am I going to get married? Am I going to have kids? Going to be stable financially? Am I going to be happy? Am I going to be fulfilled? Is my church community going to, stick with me through hardship? Am I going to find good people to be around? What if I have to move? All these different kind of fears that we have, uncertainties. I think we believe that somehow that God is uninvolved in those things. Like somehow we're on our own. Like somehow we are the main arbiters of our destiny. Or somehow that we don't have any control at all, so we're just left in a state of despair. But the fact is that God is going to use us. He's going to guide us if we're attentive to his calling on our life. So often we can get caught up in trying to find pleasure, or trying to seek out comfort, or trying to look in these different places, as opposed to focusing on the opportunities that God has placed in front of us and the wise counsel of other people, reading his word, letting that guide us, and being okay with the fact that, yeah, there's uncertainty ahead, but I know who's in control and he has my best interest in mind. We can rest in that and let that truth impact our fears. And I think all these things, when we can take on all these things, we won't fear. But the problem is that so often we have a limited perspective. We let the lies permeate our thinking and cloud out the truth. And sometimes we get overwhelmed in that way, and I know I do. When I feel like, oh, life's out of control. When I feel like, oh, I don't know, what is life going to turn out to be? Am I going to be okay? Am I going to be able to make money? Am I going to, get married? What's going on here? And what do other people think about me? What if other people just think I'm a loser? Or what if, all these questions that you have? What if I just straight up fail, And you have these fears, and you can become overwhelmed. And you can become overwhelmed to the point of become in a depressive state, or just a sad despair. Anxiety can rule your life, and you can let it rule your life. But I think what God's called us to is step outside of that fear through the power of the Holy Spirit, through the power of his truth, because because we have been saved by Jesus Christ, He's opened our eyes to be able to see the truth. But we have to be aware and attentive to hear that truth, to believe that truth, as opposed to believe the lies that we've been so tied up in, that continue to hold us, because it might be more comfortable to be fearful, but it is much more freeing to live in the light of truth. And when we can understand that, when we can believe that, when we can live that, that's when we begin to overcome our fear. And it's not because of how good we are when we develop some sort of self-confidence that is above and beyond any good and holy level of confidence. We begin to develop a pride, and that is somehow a facade of who we really are. We can't take on, we're not going to be perfect, we're not going to succeed every time, we're not going to please people every time, we can't control the future 100%, but we know who does, and we know whose opinion counts, and we know even when we fail that God is with us, and that we are not defined by our failure or success, and therefore our fears, we can overcome them through Christ. And yeah, I guess that's my message to you guys today, that I'm even preaching to myself here, is this fact that even though things are tough and we can get overwhelmed with our fears, there is truth, God's truth available, that can free us from this burden of fear that we feel we need to carry around, because we really don't. Sometimes it's more comfortable, but we don't need to carry it around. You can be free from it and live a free life dedicated to serving Christ. So that's my encouragement to you this week. And I think this is going to be the last deeper episode of 2018, guys. It's been a blast, and I'm so thankful that you guys have watched, and there's been such a good reception to this show. I hope I'll do more of these kind of episodes in the future, but the videos will keep coming throughout this year and next year. So thank you so much for a great just a great audience and just a great community built up around this, guys. If you have any questions, leave them down below. I'll be sure to answer them as best I can in the comments. Subscribe to this channel if you are new. And yeah, I'm just thankful for you guys. And check out dailydisciple.ca if you are interested in more content throughout the week. I try to release more content for you guys, just to bless you and to help you along the way. Thanks so much, guys. And remember to dig deeper. Thanks, guys. Bye.